and I, if we've given out all of our naloxone that we brought to a community event, say, or if we gave away all of our medication lock boxes and we brought like 60 or something like that, we gave them all
Mhm.
away at the community event. We celebrate those little things because it's important to
Mhm.
celebrate little things like that to keep you going because
Mhm.
it's a big
Mhm.
thing. Like, even if they don't necessarily use it, at least somebody has that.
Hi, and welcome to the Queer Vision podcast. Today, we sat down with PCCSU, which is Pitt County Coalition on Substance Use. We sat down with the two lovely ladies that are involved in it, and they explained basically everything about overdose and what to do in the situations, the things that they provide to help with that situation, and then just like general knowledge about what it is to be in the nonprofit that they're in. So you should sit down and listen because you're going to definitely learn something. You can learn how to save some lives. You can learn how to stay informed, and you can learn how to inform other people. So sit back, relax, and learn something.
And if you're not sure who we are and you've never tuned into our podcast before, I am Coe Star. This is,
Hi, I'm Becca.
and we're the Queer Vision Pod. Let's get into it, girl.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for sitting down with us today.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us. We really appreciate it.
Of course. And I'm so excited to hear about, we were reading about all the things that you all put in the form and all of that. So yeah, I'm really excited to hear about just everything that you all are doing.
Yeah. Well, we're excited, so to get it out there.
Yes. If you want to start out, you can just go ahead and give us your all's names, your pronouns, and a little blurb about yourself or whatever you want to talk about, really.
Okay. I can go first. My name is Kaylin Boyd. I go by she, her pronouns. I am the special projects coordinator here at the Pitt County Coalition on Substance Use. We use PCCSU for short. Just a quick little blurb about me. I'm really into public health, and right now I'm actually in grad school for mental health counseling. And I'm just a really, really big advocate for trying to reduce stigma around North Carolina, and especially with substance use as well. Try to get it really out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm
Awesome.
Lily Malbus. I'm the executive director of PCCSU. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I guess I have a background in public health. I have a master's in public health. And I guess I'm really passionate about education and prevention and harm reduction and getting everybody to know what we do and reducing stigma and just really working in the community. I love the community. So.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Do you want to give them our names? We never actually
Oh,
said who we
yeah.
are.
Nice to meet you all. I'm Coe and this is Becca.
Hi, I'm Becca.
So normally we do this really informally. We kind of just sit and chit chat and whatever tangent we go on, we just roll with. So if you all had any points that you want to bring up, feel free to like go on with that and then we can just follow the conversation as it goes naturally.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Did you want to do like a brief overview of like what our mission is and what we do?
Sure. Yeah, I can start with that. So
Awesome.
we're PCCSU, and our mission, I'm
Mhm.
going to read it. So I'm just to look down so I don't miss anything. To bring about a community in which youth reject substance use, adults utilize low risk choices regarding substance use, and then treatment services are available to those in need. So we don't offer
Mhm.
treatment services or anything like that. We really just try to educate people about what's out there. And then we partner
Mm.
with the local treatment services a lot to give them naloxone or Narcan. Narcan's the brand name, lock boxes for safe storage. If you know anything about the clinics, the methadone clinics, and any that do MAT, medication assisted treatment, you have to have a lockbox to do a take home treatment, just so no one can get into your medicines or anything like that. We focus on prevention, harm reduction for like naloxone, and really just trying to recognize that harm reduction is important and it reduces stigma and it keeps the person safe while they're hopefully going on their treatment and recovery journey. But we want to protect them because they can't get there if they're not still here.
Mhm.
See, something else?
I think you covered a pretty good amount of
Alcohol
things.
prescriptions, vaping,
Yeah.
marijuana, opioids, a little bit of everything. So
Yeah.
a lot of a little
Cover a
bit.
lot of stuff.
Okay.
Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, so I know I've seen like the Narcan out and about and like, at events and people giving more information, but honestly, I'm not super educated on it, and I feel like a lot of people viewing might not be as well. Do you want to give a little like blurb just about like exactly what Narcan is, how it works, what it's for?
Yes, so Narcan is like Lily said, the brand name of it. Naloxone is
Mm,
the generic name, so we'll kind of use it interchangeably.
mhm,
But
Mhm.
is it's an opioid overdose reversal drug.
mhm,
So we are trying to get it out there more widely accessible for the community. Um, Trying to treat it kind of like CPR or AED machines or EpiPens like that, just because there are a lot of overdoses happening, and usually we see these happening kind of out in the wild. Some
mhm,
community members that we do speak to, they say sometimes they'll just be going to a gas station or something, which is usually a hot spot for a lot of overdoses that do happen. And a lot of people don't really know what to do or even like the signs really of it either. So we are
Mhm.
to get more widely available because it is always better to try to save somebody and save a life so that they can get help and that they can go into treatment, rather than just not having anything and not really knowing what to do. So that's
mhm,
basically what it is. The ones that we do provide for Pitt County, it's a nasal spray, so it's very, very easy to use. There is a intravenous one as well, but the
mhm,
nasal one, even little kids can use it, elderly can use it as well. It takes like 2 pounds of
Mm.
pressure to release it. So it's very, very easy
mhm,
to use. A lot of my friends and a lot of the community members that we speak to, a lot of them say that they actually keep a box of Narcan in their car as well, just in case,
mhm,
because it's easier to just have it there just in case something happens as well. But it is safe to use, and it won't do anything to a person who isn't overdosing from opioids. So a lot of the times, we get questions of, well, how do I know if they are specifically overdosing from opioids? Um, there are signs and symptoms, but we always say to just administer Narcan if possible. And this is just because sometimes, like a diabetic coma, it's very similar looking with the signs and symptoms to an opioid overdose. But
Mhm.
we said earlier, you can administer Narcan to them. And if there are any opioids in their system, the Narcan won't do anything to them. So it is safe to use as well. And I think that's important for people to know because
mhm,
a lot of the times people see Narcan, they think of overdoses. It's scary, like it's a scary
mhm.
thing to kind of see and deal with. But we do kind of like putting it out there with the education piece of it that it is safe to use for everybody, even from younger kids and elder adults as well.
Yeah, that is really good to know because I feel like I didn't even realize that. I don't know. I never really thought that far through. Like, oh, is this person actually going through this kind of overdose, or am I going to administer a medicine that's going to hurt them? And I think that's where my brain
Mhm.
probably would have went. So yeah, I'm really glad you brought up that point. And also about the nasal spray, because I have
Yeah.
seen that some, but I didn't realize it was so easy to use. And so, like, there's not a lot of risk there. So I think that's good for people to know that are listening. Like, hey, you
Yeah.
can administer it. You're not going to hurt anybody.
Mhm.
It's not going to be that, like, intravenous or, like, hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know there are people that are afraid of even like the EpiPens because it's a needle and you could hurt somebody or do it wrong. So like I didn't realize there was even a nasal spray at all. So this is awesome.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier and stuff. But with that as well, with like the overdoses and everything, opioids, it's a nervous and central system depressor. So it actually slows down everything and it slows down your breathing and your heart rate. And the reason why overdoses happen is because it's slowing down your system so much to the point where that person can't get oxygen into them. And this does happen sometimes too. We see it a lot with polysubstance use, which basically means mixing one substance with another. So, for instance, we say you take a form of opioids, and if somebody mixes that with alcohol, both of them are depressants. So, combining them leads to a higher chance of overdose happening. And if this does happen, again, we always say for people to just administer Narcan just in case, because if we can take one form of like the opioids off of their system, then it gives them a better chance to kind of get back to get that breathing started again as well.
Wow, that's awesome. So do you offer, and forgive me if you answered this already. I have the brain of a goldfish. I'm sorry. Um, do you offer like classes and stuff like that to like show people how to use it then? Or like how could somebody learn more so they're not scared in that situation of like how to check on somebody, what actions to take, like who to call, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so we actually have a full-on presentation that we do, and we're trying to get that out because we do cover all that. We cover signs and symptoms,
Yeah.
administer it, and it also goes into a little bit more about what opioids are. And then we're also seeing a lot of laced things. So going into what also might be in there. One of those things that we talk about is xylazine, and it's actually a horse tranquilizer. That's what it was originally used as. So it's another depressant. So that mixed together is just going to bring the system down even more. We also focus on, I guess, in that presentation, there's a lot about reducing stigma and how important that is. And then there's a whole section about here's what it is, here's how to use it. There's a little short video that goes into the recovery position, which is basically just laying someone on their side and making sure that their airways are clear and they're not going to choke basically on their own vomit, and just
Mhm.
keeping it safe, which would be the same thing as like if they're, been binge drinking, you would want to put them in that same position too. So it's
Mhm.
very detailed, but we can make it as short as someone needs. But we've been doing it a lot for community organizations and partners who are asking us to come out. We just did offer one that was community based, a little virtual one. So we like to do those every so often too. We were at the beginning doing one in the community every couple of months, but then no, we had a lot of people kinda already knew what it was about, but we've been
Mhm.
having people ask for us to come do more, which we're really
Mhm.
excited about.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Do you have like a video or anything like that that anybody can share, or is it more so like they go to one of these presentations?
So we do have a video that we have included in the presentation. The video is kind of like shorter. It's more of just like an example of if somebody is overdosing, they go over signs and symptoms, how to kind of use the Narcan, taking it out of the
Mhm.
box and everything, how to administer it, and then the following steps afterwards, like Lily said, recovery position, and then always call 911. But
Mhm.
it's just a little thing that we have in the presentation. We do like um, when people kind of attend the whole presentation, just because we do
Right.
offer a lot more educational pieces of it, as well as a lot of myths and facts as well, which is really, really important when we're kind of understanding addiction and when we're understanding substance use and overdoses like that, because there is a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of um, just stigma as well surrounded to it. Even just kind of going down to just simple words. Like we used to be called the Pitt County Coalition on Substance Abuse, but abuse is very stigmatizing, and it prevents those needing help and wanting help to go out and seek that because they're afraid
Mhm.
what the community or other members might think of them. So even just using that, we changed abuse to just use instead. So we do cover that as well. But we are seeing actually, it's kind of nice because even in the past like year and a half, we've been seeing a lot more acceptance of naloxone and Narcan and kind of just more openness and open-mindedness when it comes to substance use and substance misuse and talking about it,
Mhm.
because we also like to say a lot that in public health and in the public health sector, substance use and mental illness do co-align with each other. They do go hand in hand together a lot as well, and we see that with the community too, and just like with statistics as well. So it is important that we kind of try to educate that. And this month actually is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month as well, which is
Mhm.
great. So we are doing a lot of talking points on that too. Just trying to get it tied together because a lot of people try to kind of separate it where it's like mental illness and that is just in its own sector and then substance use is in its own sector. But when you really get down to it, it is very much co-aligned with each other as well.
Right.
It's also Recovery Month, so there's
Mhm.
it's always seems like there's multiple things happening during a month, but Recovery Month is
Mhm.
all about celebrating those who are in recovery and reducing the stigma and recognizing that it's an individualized journey for everybody and everybody kind of goes at their own pace.
That's
Yeah,
lovely.
it really is just I don't know, it is interesting to think that a lot of people don't group in the mental health aspect into the substance abuse aspect because as someone who like I wouldn't say that I've had like a full addiction, but I definitely have an addictive personality. You know, I've been that kind of person that's like, oh, I'm gonna lean to this as a coping mechanism a lot of times.
Mhm.
Um, and it is always mental health based usually, you know, when you're not really completely in tune with yourself. And then also just, you know, the things you see around you growing up. There's so many aspects to it.
Mhm.
Um, a good question that I did have that you all may or may not know. Do you know, is there any kind of like law in North Carolina for like clubs or bars to actually have any information on Narcan and on these kind of things?
So they don't have to have it. It's definitely not required. And a lot of places, and this is not just speaking, it's like Greenville. Um,
Hmm.
some bars and places are a little bit hesitant to have it because then it could lay that stigma on it of, oh, if we have naloxone, that means
Hmm.
our like patrons have substance misuse problems, and these are hot spots for that. So it's a lot of still kind of breaking that down. I
Hmm.
know that um, Taco is an organization at ECU, and it's Team Awareness Combating Overdoses, and they're working really closely with downtown to have at least naloxone in there, so that if something
That's
happened,
good.
but yeah, that's really it. We do have a Good Samaritan law that covers people who are kind of trying to like be that person of helping and be that Good Samaritan.
Hmm.
So if they see something, they're covered to help them, and they're not going to be like
Well, that's
legally at
good.
risk or anything like that.
Hmm.
So that kind of opens the door for that a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah, I was just intrigued because I was thinking like of all the clubs and bars I've been in. I think the only one that I've ever actually seen Narcan in was ETC GSO in Greensboro. It's a very
Mhm.
smaller venue. Um, but I did appreciate that they had that there. And it is interesting. I definitely get the stigma piece because I can see that, but I wish it was more widely acceptable, which I'm sure you all agree.
Yeah, it's almost like if everybody just had it, then we wouldn't even have to think about it. And then nobody would be like, "Oh, this one place got it, so
Mm-hmm.
obviously," you know?
Yeah, actually
But
in
yeah.
the last year actually, like this has been like a really long project in the run, but just recently in the past year, they actually more of the bars downtown in Greenville actually have Narcan and Narcan kits now. Not all of them,
That's
but
awesome.
definitely more than we've had the past like 2 years, actually, which is great.
That is awesome. Do they is there, like, an expiration on them if you don't end up using them? Or because I know, like, EpiPens, it's, like, what, like, a year or something?
Yeah, so thankfully, naloxone, so the name brand of it is Narcan, and it has a 3-year expiration date. The generic brand has a little bit of a shorter one. It's about 2 years. So it does last a lot longer than an EpiPen, which is really good because, I mean, hopefully you're not needing it, but
Right.
if you ever do, then it is there for a little bit longer of a shelf life. We also, like, legally, you can't say this. I know like EMS isn't allowed to use past the expiration date, but we do just always recommend, use over the counter medicines a little bit past. So it's always important that even if it's expired, you still administer it and try it. And it
Mhm.
may just not be as effective, but you can still hopefully help them have consciousness again until EMS can arrive.
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. And one thing I did wanna ask you early on, and I completely forgot, is, how long have you guys each been doing this and what you got you into this?
Well, I can start. So we my undergrad is also in public health and community health, and you have to do a full-on semester long internship. So that was back in 2018. And I kind of just stumbled upon this and I was really interested in it because of like family, histories and things like that, and being kind of passionate about substance misuse just in general and having the education about it. And then when I went into my master's, I was asked to kind of lead one of the smaller grants that they had with the coalition. And that was in fall of 2018. And so I was Kaylin's position for a little while, special projects coordinator. And then in 2020, after I graduated with my master's, I became the executive director. So now here I am 5 years later from that and 7 years later from actually getting involved. So been in it for a pretty long time, but I love public health. This
Wow.
isn't really kind of what I thought I would be doing, but there's a lot of the aspects that I wanted to do going into it as far as community education and prevention and really meeting people and educating them and kind of opening their eyes to what's going on and how we can really help people.
Awesome.
And I've been doing this a lot shorter than her. But yeah, I actually have been doing this for coming up to like almost a year now, at this specific position, but I was their intern as well when I was finishing up my bachelor's degree in public health when I was in school. So pretty recently, I only just graduated like a year ago now. If
Yeah, December,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, almost a year ago now. But I got into this job after my internship, and Lily reached out and everything, and I really loved it because I love public health, honestly. Like, I love working with the community and just trying to make people feel better and making sure that people have the resources that some people don't even know that we offer in even Pitt County for everything. But now I am in my master's program for mental health counseling as well, with a subsection in substance use. So it's just something I really, really like and really enjoy. And like I said, again, to kind of go back to like mental health and everything like that, like I do see it. It does overlap a lot, and I think it's very interesting,
Hmm.
and especially with my personal history as well. I know that I've had a lot of family members that do struggle with mental health illnesses, and just seeing like the stigma that prevents them from even talking about it or even showing any type of emotions or anything like that. I see it as something I wanted to speak up about and to advocate about, and to make sure other people in the community feel safe enough to talk about things like that, because we shouldn't be struggling alone and we shouldn't be feeling helpless or that we don't have anybody here to help anybody. So I think it's a part of why my passion is so big, because I want people to not feel by themselves. I want them to know that there are resources out there, and that even just me and Lily are here, even if you guys want to talk or anything like that too. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That is
That's
that's
awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't think that I could go into a field like this. It would be very, very stressful for me. So I definitely thank you for doing this.
um,
We definitely enjoy it, but it is a little
Definitely.
stressful, especially
yes.
Mhm.
since we are a smaller nonprofit. And by small, I mean
Hmm.
2 full-time staff, and the only staff is
Mhm.
me and Caitlin. Um, there is some
We
stressful
feel
things
you.
with how it is, and just I think right now all nonprofits are a little bit stressed out with funding and things like
Yeah.
that. But it makes a
Yeah.
difference when you enjoy what you do.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That is very true. We've definitely experienced that as well with everything that we've done.
Mhm.
So, and that's another part of mental health is taking care of yourself first to a point. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I know that, like, kind of what we do and, like, what we've been talking about, it kind of does seem very, like, serious and very, like,
Mhm.
poof, like that, but we don't really want it to come across that way, because, yes, overdose awareness is a serious thing, but we don't wanna treat it as something so, like, I don't know, just
Scary. We don't
scary,
want it to
really.
just
Mhm.
be
Um,
because scare tactics don't work. That's a little just a side of
Right.
public health,
Yeah.
but
but yeah, we wanna make sure people, like, even though it is serious and it can be scary, as long as you're educated about it, and kind of just are open-minded about it, kind of understanding that this is a very common thing that does happen. We see
Mhm.
it every day with the data and the statistics that I look at. But it's happening everywhere. Even just 2022, we had over 100,000 overdoses. Um, and that's,
Right.
your brother, sister, parents, family members, things like
Mhm.
that. So it's not, I feel like sometimes when we go out and do these Narcan trainings, people are like, "Oh, like I don't have to worry about that because I don't do anything like that, or I'm not around
Mhm.
people who are like that and stuff." But really we try to educate people that it's not just people who choose to have an addiction. It's not a moral
Mhm.
failing. It's a brain disease. It's we try to
Yeah.
treat it as anything, like if somebody had cancer or anything like that, or if somebody had diabetes, you wouldn't say, I'm not gonna give you your insulin today because you wanted to have a cupcake. It's the same thing with people with
Mhm.
opioid use disorders, where we're like, we're not gonna just not give you Narcan or naloxone or anything like that because you had a little setback or anything. We try to treat it kind of the same way, kind of again going back to just reducing the stigma around it too.
Mhm.
But that's kind of one of the things that we do try to advocate for a lot and to kind of preach out there a lot, that yes, it is a scary thing, but it's happening a lot more than people realize, and it does affect
Mhm.
a lot of people. Even if it's not directly, you could know somebody that could know somebody that has an
Mhm.
opioid use disorder, or even somebody that has an alcohol use disorder as well. So it's a very common thing out there, and we are trying to make it so people talk about it more openly as well. But yeah.
Yeah. And just the way you
Yeah.
talk about things, like what she was saying is we hear that a lot when it's, oh, I don't know anybody like that. I don't hang out with people like that.
Mhm.
You might, you just don't know it.
Mhm.
And they're not comfortable
Mhm.
talking to you about it because of how you just said how they are as a
Mhm.
person. Yeah.
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 And I think a lot of that makes me just, I don't know, think about the ego from a lot of people, and I feel like especially in the queer community is good to hear that too sometimes, especially like the queer nightlife community. I love my people, not coming for them, but sometimes, it is easy to like get on that high horse and be like, "Oh, like it wouldn't be me, it wouldn't be my people." But like it really could be. And
Yeah.
like, there's so many people in the nightlife scene that dabble in,
Mhm.
like party drugs or whatever you want to call them. And you never know. You never know what can be in something. And it is scary. And you should be equipped and educated on how to help anybody. And you should want to do that.
And that's the thing with addiction and how it is, because like Kaylin said, it does change. It's a brain thing. It changes your functions.
Hmm.
Some people can just dabble and, then
Hmm.
they don't experience brain changes or anything like that. But other people can have that happen. So it's just different for a lot of people.
Hmm.
And
Mhm,
yeah, the way you talk about things
mhm,
matters. And I know we keep saying that, but it really, really does.
mhm,
And we want to
Hmm.
harp on that because it's Suicide Prevention Month and Recovery Month. And we want Pitt County to be they call it a recovery ready community. So it's all
Hmm.
about kind of getting people into that lens. And again, that's a
Hmm.
journey that's different for everyone, but just knowing that there are resources out there and that you have support and people aren't going to judge you for what you're doing because it's stigma
Exactly.
leads to a lack of seeking that treatment, like Caitlin mentioned. So
Hmm.
if we want everyone to get in recovery, which that's the goal, but that
Hmm.
also goes in with harm reduction. Like that's not everybody's goal. We just want them to be
Hmm.
safe. Um, but if we're not that recovery ready community, people aren't going to seek out help and treatment because their loved ones are going to judge them or their pastor's going to judge them or they're afraid what their boss is going to think. So it's just a lot that goes into all of this.
mhm,
And I think it's good too to offer like even saying like harm reduction, and having that medium, because I think it's so easy as humans to be so like 0 or 100. And I feel like especially like the addiction shame cycle and stuff that people often go through. And it's so much harder, I think, for a lot of people when they are so like, oh, I have to get everything down to the T. If I'm not completely sober, then like I'm not making any progress. I'm not making anything. And it's really important to, yeah, break down that stigma. So thank you all for working to do that.
yeah, thank you. But yeah, I think it's also important to kind of go back on this a little bit, but
Hmm.
to kind of touch base with a lot of people also kind of think of addiction as a very like specific stereotype.
Mhm.
But we see even elder adults who say got prescribed pain medications or like opioid pain medications for if they had a chronic back issue. And
Mhm.
because of that, they can accidentally get addicted to opioids. It wasn't really just because that they wanted to or anything like that.
Mhm.
Nobody really wants to get addicted to opioids
Mhm.
or substances, but it just happens to be like that sometimes. And a lot of the times we also see with fentanyl, which is a different
Mhm.
from illicit fentanyl. So it's different from like the street fentanyl that we're talking about
Mhm.
now. But the fentanyl that we see that is very managed in like hospital settings, that is actually used for people going through chemo or cancer patients
Mhm.
for pain management again. And fentanyl is an opioid, a very strong opioid. It's a synthetic one, but when it's given out as a pain management use, it's a very small dose. But even from that, since it is an opioid, patients who are taking that can still get addicted to it. So
Mhm.
even if we're talking about like younger kids who might have taken like a laced pill or anything like that, because we are seeing a lot of laced pills right now. Actually, I think the DEA actually seized about 6 out of 10 pills that were laced with fentanyl as well, a lethal dose of fentanyl. And that's the tip of a lead pencil, if you think about it.
It's
Oh, wow.
It's not
wow.
much at all. So even that as well, people can get accidentally addicted to opioids. So it's not really, when people think about it, it's not just like a stereotypical person that they really think
Mhm.
of or anything. Anybody can get addicted to it. And again, it is just brain chemistry taking a big role in that too. It's not a moral failing. It's not that you did something wrong and that you're too weak or anything like that. Because we do
Mhm.
hear that a lot in the community. It's just brain chemistry. It is what it is.
And we also,
Yeah.
going off that, we encourage people to safe storage is one of the things with lock boxes and cabinet
Mhm.
locks of keeping their medicine safe, just
Mhm.
so it's yours, and then safe disposal of it. Like if you uh, get a bunch of Percocets for you got your tube full, but you're not taking it and you're not using it, safely dispose of
Mhm.
that. Just, I mean, you never know. And little kids can open all of these
Mhm.
bottles, and then
Mhm.
they may not struggle with addiction or anything like that. But if they take an opioid and their body's so much smaller, then that can lead to an opioid overdose. And that's
Mhm.
something you're not even like
Mhm.
thinking about, or your grandma
Right.
Mhm.
who got it for pain management that
Mhm.
she's talking about, but she accidentally takes the wrong dose or two at a time because she just forgets that she took it or forgot to take off her pain patch, then that can lead to an opioid overdose. So it's really,
Mhm.
again, it can happen to anybody.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It really can. And well, first off, sorry I had to step out. My dog is injured and he had to go to the bathroom. So uh sorry about that. But earlier, whenever you were talking and you were giving that analogy of like, hey, you wouldn't tell the diabetic that like because they had a cupcake, you can't give them insulin. So I have a chronic illness. So like the way you were explaining that is similar to like things that go around in our world. Like if it's invisible, people don't see it. They don't see the struggle you're going through. And correct me if I'm wrong, but like this feels like addiction is a chronic illness of sorts that
Mhm.
they're battling it forever for the rest of their lives, or maybe it gets easier. I don't know. But it sounds very, very similar. And that's something that like I know would help also chronic illness people, like anybody in this world to like understand just because you can't see something doesn't mean that they aren't trying. And just because you don't understand why they do something doesn't mean that they deserve to just not be treated.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
summed it up perfectly.
Yep.
We do
Perfectly.
talk about it being it is a chronic brain disease, and it is going to be
Mhm.
there forever. And treatment and recovery are possible, but that is something that they're probably going to have to manage for the rest of their
Yeah.
lives. But
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you guys decompress? Like how do you look at everything that's happening? And like I know you say you don't want it to be stressful and you don't but the reality is anything in healthcare is a little bit stressful,
it is.
right? Anything dealing with people where people can get hurt is hard. So what do you do either together or when you go home, whatever, to like decompress from the day or to feel, I don't know, the happiness of the world instead of seeing just everything?
Yeah. So I've picked up embroidery, so I'm really loving like
Ooh.
the crafting of it. And my
Mhm,
love language is gift giving. So I'm always like, hey, I made you this. And I actually made Kayla one for her
mhm.
birthday. And I was like, please get
Aw,
this so
Aw.
my house isn't covered in these little embroidery hoops that are just everywhere. And then reading. But
love that.
that's probably my new biggest one that it's very calming and just the stitching and the repetitiveness of it.
Mm,
I also love embroidery.
I think for me, how I decompress, well, for one, it's really, really important. I kind of had to learn this, like doing this job also, but it's really important to keep business life and work life separate from personal life. So whenever I'm done with the office or done with a community event that we do, I completely shut everything down and then I go home and I just try to focus on that. It does take some
mhm,
practice, because for me, I just work all the time. Like I love working and stuff
mm,
like that, so it's hard to go home and not to think about work or not to think about something else that I could be doing. But it's important for me and especially to prevent burnout as well.
Mhm.
Make sure that I set aside time for just my personal life to do things that I like. I have a cat. I love her. She's very, very sweet.
oh,
So I always love just hanging out with her. We'll go on little play dates
mhm,
sometimes. I love my friends as well, so whenever possible, I always try to hang out with them and just talk to them about
mhm,
stuff. But also kind of to go back with it too, to kind of decompress a little bit if say there is a very stressful day or something stressful is happening like that. It's always nice to have that little inner circle of supportive friends or family members or anything like that so that you can talk to about stress or like anything like that happening in your life. And I think that's a really important part as well, especially working in kind of like the public health field and everything. You need that close knit friendships, you need that supportive friend group, you need just any type of support really, even if you get it from like your pets or anything like that. Because I know
Mhm.
my she's my baby. Like she's my baby. So even just with her, if I've had a stressful day, I'll go home, hang out with her, or I'll cook, or I'll hang out with my plants and just do some stuff like that. But it's really just kind of stress management as well,
mhm.
and then just kind of learning how to separate, um, again, personal life from work life because it can get a lot. Um,
Yes.
Working with that stuff and seeing things like that all the time. So it's important to kind of separate it. But I think also a big thing, kind of like to help with the scariness and the stressfulness and the seriousness of this job is even when we go out and about and do different community things, Lily and I, if we've given out all of our naloxone that we brought to a community
Mhm,
event, say, or if we gave away all of our medication lock boxes and we brought like 60 or something like that, and we gave them all
mhm,
away at the community event. We celebrate those little things because it's important to
mhm,
celebrate little things like that to keep you going because
Mhm.
it's a big
mhm,
thing. Like, even if they don't necessarily use it, at least somebody has that. And I think it's
mhm.
important to kind of change your mindset about the different things like that that you see because again, it's important to celebrate the smaller things and it keeps you going with the job as
Right.
well.
Yeah,
That's
good
good. It
Yeah.
sounds
working
like you have a good balance.
relationship. Yeah, good working relationship makes the difference
Mhm,
in the sport, and also having a new fresh face that has a lot of passion for it makes a big difference too in reducing the stress. But
Mhm.
yeah, you need
That
to
makes sense.
work on all this.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I feel like we are learning that a lot too. All the things that you
mhm.
just said about like when you stop, you need to stop. And I mean, it's hard whenever you're first starting a business. So like we have a little bit of a different
Yeah, it's definitely
difference.
different for
we,
sure, but
we live in it, but there are times where we both are like, okay, since we have different sides of the business,
mhm,
sometimes I need to talk to Koe, and that's my fresh idea of the
mhm.
thing that I'm working on, and vice versa. So everything you're saying helps me feel better about the way we're doing things.
You guys are doing great.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
So what we are like kind of getting a little bit closer to the end. So I have two questions. One is what is your favorite thing about what you do? Because I want to end on a good note. And then the other one is do you have anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to share?
Um, Yes, actually. So, for one thing that we haven't shared yet that I really want to kind of just put out there because we're really excited about it, to kind of go back on what the conversation was before, that making it more widely accessible and kind of what you're saying about if everybody had it, then we wouldn't really be thinking like, oh, like that one person has it
Mhm.
and da 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 da. But actually, in the last year, we've been seeing a lot more open mindedness and just acceptance of Narcan and naloxone and things like that.
Mhm.
Really quick, just want to spit out this information that we have. This is just from our organization, PCCSU,
Mhm.
but in 2024, we gave out 221 boxes of naloxone to the Pitt County
Wow.
community. And already in 2025, we've given out 590 boxes of Narcan.
And that's
That's
actually
Wow.
amazing.
from the June number. So it's even more than that.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we love seeing that. It makes us so happy
Mhm.
to see that.
Favorite part
Favorite
was
part?
first just I think seeing people like get it and it clicking and the
Mhm.
changing perspectives is probably mine just because I do love that education and teaching part of it and
Mhm.
just kind of when people come up to the table and they're like, oh well, I know what that is, or and then they're explaining it to who they're beside. I'm like, wow, that's really good that you already know about
Mhm.
that and you're telling people, and then they're like, oh well, let me get this and let me get that for my loved one, and I'm just like, that's what we want.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
Yes.
think my favorite part or like the best part of this job is when different community members reach out that do struggle with some sort of substance use disorder or
Mhm.
that have somebody close to them that struggle with a substance use disorder, and to kind of just hear their personal stories of them reaching out and just telling us everything, kind of like what we already see. It's nice to kind of see it from a different and more personal reflective. And I know
Mhm.
that one of our past community members, they did reach out and wrote us a little note on a card, but just thanking us for everything that we do and that they also love somebody with an addiction as well, and that
Mhm.
it's a lot different from different point of views and kind of like an outside perspective. It's very different because to them, it's just a person that they used to love. Um,
Right.
Mhm.
but yeah, I think that's a big part of why I like the job so much, because you can really see that you're making a personal impact on the community as well.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yes.
Mm.
That's amazing.
and let's
Yeah.
plug, we do have two fundraisers coming up just because we
Oh,
are
yes, I do remember you saying
yeah,
that.
we're small nonprofit, so we need all the little
Mhm.
help we can get. We
Yes.
got our golf tournament fundraiser coming up in October 17th, and then our Dinner of Hope fundraising gala, that's going to be December 5th.
Mhm.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you all so much for sitting
Yeah.
down and for all the education. I surely appreciate it. I'm sure
Mhm.
Yeah.
Rebecca does,
I
and I'm
do.
sure the viewers will even more. So,
Yeah. Well,
Thanks for having
thank
us.
you.
This was
of
This was
course.
fun.
great to meet
Yes.
you.
This was awesome. And I love having like, because I feel like, some of our episodes can just be a little bit more fun and lighthearted. Not that this wasn't, but I love when we do have like a little informational one in
Mhm.
there to like break up things too, because I feel like it's more digestible for people that
Yeah.
way, versus like always just being in the research. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank y'all.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Queer Vision podcast. I really hope that you pulled something from this. A huge thank you to PCCSU again for all the information that they have given us. Feel free to reach out to us, to them, if you have any questions. If you want to have some Narcan on hand for friends, family, parties, you never know when you're going to encounter somebody that it could be useful for. Reach out to us, reach out to them. I'm sure we can get you connected with the right people if
Mhm.
they are not able to supply it to you.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was a really great informational episode, and I hope y'all soaked all that information in your little spongy brain. And once again, I am Koe Star. This is
Hi, I'm Becca.
We're the Queer Vision Pod. We're the co-founders of Queerlina. You can find us at queerlina.org on all socials.
at queerlana.org.
And
Our website.
Our website, yeah, because we're official or whatever.
That has everything on it.
Yes.
All the places you can find us are on there, actually.
Cheers. I just want to bump mics and see what it sounded like.
Nothing happened.
That's really sad. Okay.
Okay, we love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.